We are deconstructing a breakfast burrito into a delicious high-protein bowl. We're layering golden hash browns, black beans, turkey sausage, tomatoes, avocado, and cheese, and all the ingredients can easily be batch prepped for busy mornings. Hello, my name is Nicole Bonilla, and if you love healthier recipes to our favorite foods, then you are in the right place. To make the hash browns, you can use fresh potatoes, but I have found that buying the frozen potatoes is so much easier and more convenient. I like using this organic brand that I got from my local health food store because in the ingredients, all it has is organic potatoes. Now we want to season the potatoes before they go into the air fryer, and I found the easiest way to do this is to use a bowl. Now you're welcome to jot down these ingredients as we go along, or you can click on the link that's in the video description below, and that will take you to the recipe with all the details. So I'm going to start by adding 2 tablespoons of some light olive oil to my mixing bowl. I also recommend avocado oil or extra virgin olive oil, and the oil will help the potatoes cook nice and crispy. And then for our seasonings, we're going to add 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, half a teaspoon of onion powder, half a teaspoon salt, and a few dashes of pepper. And then we'll give that a quick mix with our spatula. Now, if you could use more healthy inspiration on a regular basis, I invite you to join my email list. All you have to do is click on the link in the description below, and that is the best way for us to stay connected. And then we'll just dump in a 16-ounce bag of our frozen hash browns. And you'll want to use them right out of the freezer, still frozen, because that's what's going to help them cook crispy on the outside, but soft on the inside. Then we'll just take our spatula and stir it into our oil mixture. Now to cook the hash browns in the air fryer, you're probably wondering if they're going to fall through all the little holes in the tray. Now if your tray has some very small holes, that won't be a problem. Now if they do fall through the bottom, that's not a bad thing, but I have found that some of them can get a little bit overcooked down there. So I have a very simple hack to show you that's going to keep all the hash browns on top of the tray. Now we're just going to take a sheet of parchment paper, which is different than wax paper, and I'm just going to measure out a piece that is the same width as my tray. So next I'm going to place my tray onto the paper, and then I'll just fold and crease the edges on top of the tray. And then we'll stick one end down into our basket, and then carefully push down the other side. Now you wouldn't want to put just a square of parchment paper cut to the same size as your tray, because once the air in the air fryer starts blowing around, it can blow up the edges of your paper. But by tucking the edges around the bottom of the tray, it holds the paper in place. And the parchment paper is non-stick, so we don't have to worry about our potatoes sticking to the bottom. And it's also very important that the tray is not preheated, so it's cool enough for us to handle. And then we'll just dump our hash browns into the tray. And depending on the size of your tray, you might have to do these in 2 batches. But I'm going to go ahead and spread these out as much as I can. And then I'll insert this into the air fryer and set it for 15 minutes at 385 degrees. And we'll want to check it halfway, shake it around, put it back in, and then we'll want to check it about 1/4 of the way, shake it around, put it back in, and then we can take them out once they're all golden brown. Now my timer is set to 15 minutes at 385 degrees. And off it goes. So I'm pulling our potatoes out of the air fryer. You can see that they're starting to get crispy. So I'm just going to mix these around. And depending on your air fryer, the size of the basket, and how many hash browns you put in, you can just do this in 5-minute increments until they're nice and crispy. Well, we now have a basket full of some perfectly crispy hash browns. So I'll go ahead and transfer these to a bowl, and then we'll set these aside. We're going to start by browning our sausage. And I love using my Hex-Clyde pan because it gives me the best of nonstick and cast iron. So I'm going to start by adding a small amount of some light olive oil. Now we'll carefully add in our ½ pound of turkey sausage. Next I'm going to season it with some salt. And then we'll sprinkle on ½ teaspoon of some garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of cumin, ½ teaspoon of paprika, and 1/4 teaspoon of some onion powder. And then we'll just start breaking that up into our meat. And I'll start flipping the meat over. And then we'll just let this cook for another couple minutes until we no longer see pink. And as it's cooking, we can start breaking it up into some smaller bite-sized pieces. It's been a couple minutes, and I can tell that the meat is no longer pink and it's lightly browned on the bottom. So we can go ahead and turn off our heat. And I'll transfer the meat to a plate lined with a paper towel to soak up any extra grease. And then we can set this aside. Now for the beans, you could use them just right out of the can in your breakfast burrito, but I really like to season them up first. So in a small saucepan, I'm just going to add ½ a cup of water, and then add in my beans, a teaspoon of butter. Then I'm going to add ½ a teaspoon of garlic powder, ½ a teaspoon of cumin, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And then I'll just stir all that together, and then we'll let that simmer for about 5 to 7 minutes until the beans are nice and soft and heated through. So it's been about 5 minutes and you can see that our liquid has been reduced and we have some very flavorful and soft beans. So go ahead and turn off the heat and then we'll set these aside. Now we can do our favorite part, which is cooking our egg. And I'm going to use my hex-clad pan, but the most important thing, no matter what pan you're using, is to bring it to heat before we drop in our butter and our egg. So you want to let it heat up on a medium to low heat for about 2 or 3 minutes to get the best results. So I can tell my pan is nice and hot, so I'm going to add a teaspoon of butter. And that instant sizzle on your butter lets you know that you have the right temperature. And I'll just crack my egg on a flat surface and gently place it in the center of my pan. Well, kind of the center. And you can season your egg before or after you cook it. I like to add the seasoning while it's cooking because then it goes down into the egg. So I'm going to add 2 dashes of salt and 2 dashes of pepper. Now I like to have the egg white just barely toasted, but I like to have the yolk nice and soft. So I'm not going to put a lid on my pan because I want the bottom to cook faster than the top so that the yolk stays nice and soft. And you'll know it's done when the sides are just starting to turn that really light golden brown. And you can shake your pan and you get a little jiggle from the yolk. And you can tell that the top of this egg white is also cooked through. Now I'll just use my slide spatula to carefully transfer this to my plate. Oh, that is gorgeous. So now that we have our cooked turkey sausage and our hash browns and our baked beans and our beautiful egg and some tomatoes and cheese, we can assemble our bowl. So I'm going to start with a nice big scoop of hash browns. And there is no right or wrong way to layer this up. And a nice big scoop of some black beans and some turkey sausage. And I'll top it with this gorgeous egg and sprinkle on some cheese and some fresh tomatoes and 2 wedges of avocado and a little squirt of some fresh lime. And now for the best part, we break the yolk. Ooh, look at that beautiful yolk that's just gonna ooze right on top of all those ingredients. That tastes incredible. All those flavors come together in the most delicious bite of breakfast burrito, but without the extra carbs from the tortilla. Now all of these ingredients are really easy to make ahead of time and you can store them individually in your fridge and then pull them out on a busy morning to make your own delicious breakfast burrito bowl. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with me today in my kitchen. And I included a link to this full recipe and it's in the video description below. And that will take you to my website, gentletummy.com. And I also invite you to like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And I cannot wait to have you hang out with me in my kitchen again.